All right, good morning, everyone, and welcome to today's briefing. My name is Anthony Maldonado, the programs coordinator here at the Corona Chamber, and we have a really packed agenda today, so I'm going to jump right in and introduce our Legislative Committee Chair, the Honorable Jeff Miller. Jeff is a former State Assembly member, Corona Mayor, and Council member. He worked with both sides of the aisle to put together not only Corona, but the entire state. He's also a very successful small business owner, and we are very much appreciative to have him joining us every single week here on this business briefing. So without further ado, Jeff Miller.
Off. There we go. All right. Can everybody hear me? Good. I can hear you. All right. Well, here we are, mid-October. Where has the time gone? Let's get right into it. I want to thank our sponsor for today's meeting, our ever favorite town photographer, Jim Dorsey Photography. For over 30 years, Jim has photographed in the Inland Empire and has continued to do what other photographers don't want to do. He offers unlimited time, unlimited image packages for fair and affordable pricing. He encourages you to call everyone else, then call him. Thank you, Jim Dorsey Photography, for sponsoring the meeting. I do have a few folks I'd like to go to before we get into the announcements. I do want to go. I see we have Assembly Member Cervantes' rep Alex Lopez on the line. I'm going to go to him and see if he has any updates in a minute. Not right now, Alex. I'll give you a moment to get your thoughts together. But I am going to put the chair of the board on the spot and get her to say a few words. Paul Bender Badesha.
Good morning. Thank you, Jeff. Lovely. You're such a gift to us as a chamber, and we so appreciate you.
Thank you.
Anyway, gosh, we have a little bit of a smaller group today. First of all, I just want to say thank you so much for joining us, especially those of you that join us regularly on a Wednesday. I cannot tell you how much that means to me, but next week I'd like you to invite a friend as well to join us. I don't think until you're on these calls you really realize how much is going on in the legislative landscape. And I as you know, I own a franchise, and so we get alerts from our headquarters, and I really rely upon the Corona Chamber to decipher what's going on in the state and the government and help me understand it. And I think I'm a pretty good reader, but even some of this stuff, I've been looking it over and over, and it's so confusing. So yesterday we got an email from our headquarters alerting us to 13 recent bills that were signed off by Governor Newsom, 13, and that includes obviously the extension of the COVID pay, which I'm really mad about, but till January, but all kinds of things, and some I still didn't know about, and I'm like, oh my God, and we have a call next week about that. But some of it is so difficult to implement, including the reporting on wages and that kind of thing. We don't know at this point how we as a company are going to wrap our arms around it. So why I'm saying all of this is not to depress you, but to tell you that I wouldn't have made it through 16 years in business without the support of Corona Chamber and the work that Jeff Gibson and the Legislative Action Committee does. So I'm really urging everybody to support our legislative fundraiser, which is only a week away. And I'm sure Bobby or Anthony is going to talk about that. You can support us for as little as $25,000, but it comes all the way down to $1,000. And, you know, it's just a couple of Starbucks. Those of us, or those of you, actually, I don't do this, that go to Starbucks every day, you're spending about $1,500 a year, right? We know this. We see our employees doing it. And I kind of go, but how much better would that money be spent in helping us support each other? I mean, I don't know how small independent businesses continue to stay in business every day. And it doesn't matter what side of the political side you're on. It's not that. It's just like an overwhelming weight that just kind of continues to press down. And in a world where there's a lot going on, right? Putin, China, North Korea flying missiles over Japan. It's overwhelming anyway in life. But to run a small business throughout, or an organization or a nonprofit throughout it, and continue to navigate the landscape and keep people in work so that they can put food on their table, is an incredible accomplishment. And in order to continue to do that, we need each other, and we're going to need each other even more this winter. We know, you can already feel it. It's going to be a really hard winter globally, nationally, locally, and to get through it, we have to support each other. So sorry, Jeff, I've gone on a little bit, but I'm plugging our Advocacy in Action evening. But I will tell you that it's not to do with politics. It's just to do with the fact that we live in the toughest state to do business and employ people, and even to be an employee, right? It's one of the toughest states, and we need to continue the work that this chamber has done for the last 113 years. To continue that work, we need your not only your commitment as you give every week, but your financial support too. So I look forward to seeing many more of you next week, next Thursday. Thank you.
Thank you, Paul Bender. Very, very wise words of wisdom, and very much appreciated it. Before I would like to go to Dr. Gramling from Cal Baptist University, but before that, see if there's any updates and advocacy updates on his end. But before that, I do want to hand it off to Bobby to talk about the event next week.
Hey, thanks so much, Jeff. And Paul Bender, thanks for the beautiful talk and the edification for the chamber. On our advocacy, it's often stated that if you're not at the table, you're probably on the menu. And what we attempt to do, and I call it the Jeff factor, because Jeff Gibson and Jeff Miller combined, they take things and look at the big picture and then scale it on down how we can impact and make a difference for our local businesses. There is over $50,000 in savings from employees for the employer of what we were able to impact. And Jeff has covered it before in his presentations. I just want you to know that if you individually needed to do the work that we do, you would be investing anywhere between, it's going to be in the mid six figures, so anywhere from about 200,000 on upwards to 500,000, and we do it here at the Chamber of Commerce. In order to do that, we need some extra funding, and that's what this October 20th event is all about. So we would welcome any input, any suggestions. Please connect with me. We would welcome you to this event. Even if the date does not work for you, the money will work for us. So I'm going to just be bold and say, write the check and allow us to go ahead and invest for next year's continuation for this type of program every week, for our engagement, utilizing talent like Jeff Gibson, and to be able to make a difference for your business and the business community in Corona. Thank you, guys.
Bobby, real quick before we move on, you want to talk a little bit about what's going to go on at the event? Who
Sure.
They're going to meet?
Sure. So on your slide there, you see that Sheriff Chad Bianco, the District Attorney Mike Hestrin, and Supervisor Karen Spiegel. We've had each of them on these calls. We've had each of them at a Good Morning Corona, but there's a special dinner that's set aside, private time, and we've limited it to a very small handful of people that will write the big checks so that they get quality time with these individuals to talk with them. Then afterwards, we're going to open it on up a little bit later in the day at 6:30 for a dessert reception. And that is a little bit pricey from some aspects, but at the same time, look at what you're getting in return. And it will be an opportunity for you to mingle with these folks as well as others that will be present. And rumor has it that we may have a sneak special visitor that comes in. we're still trying to finalize that right now. So again, October 20th, call me if you've got any questions. I'll be glad to chat with you on it, but I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Great.
I think
Thank-
it's going to
thank
be
you, Bobby.
George Clooney. No,
George,
a surprise visitor. Bobby's working on getting George Clooney there for me.
well, he better bring Julia Roberts with him. We got to
Okay,
do things fair, Paul. We got to be fair, Paul Bender.
stay focused, guys.
Okay, we're getting off track here. Sorry. Dr. Gramling, how are you? Anything you want to give us a quick update on?
Well, yes. First of all, thanks so much for giving me a moment. And we're finding that leadership is more important than ever before. We certainly had planned a leadership seminar for the fall on November the 12th for the Jabb School of Business and our Center for Business Excellence, which is our outreach arm to the community. That seminar is going to happen on Saturday, November the 12th. It is strengths-based leadership training. We're going to be doing the Clifton Strengths Finder framework, which is included in the cost of the day, which include lunch and the official Clifton Strengths analysis for those who have not had that done and want to get a better sense on how you lead and how you can interact with other leaders. So I'd be pleased to see folks there. And of course, it's becoming even more important for all of us as business leaders with challenges with employment and with employees and with challenges with persistence and attrition. The time is right for us to make sure we continue to power up as leaders. So I hope this is helpful information for folks and look forward to seeing you at the seminar.
And if people want to get involved, is there a phone number to call or
Yes,
an
there's a
email?
link. Yeah, there's a link there. So if you scan that QR code, it'll take you right to where you can register
Okay.
and get more information about the event. So perhaps Anthony can make that available in the chat. And that's something you can do. We did that as a QR code to make it really easy. You just scan that code with your phone and it'll bring you right to the link.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Dr. Gramling. Thank you, Alex, for your patience. You've been waiting on the line here. Nice to meet you officially. And maybe you can introduce yourself and give us a quick update from the Assembly Member's Office.
Yes, hello everyone. Like mentioned, my name is Alex Lopez, and I'm from the Office of Assembly Member Cervantes. A quick little bit about myself. I am transitioning from the Office of Assembly Member Medina. So I do have experience in the state legislature district office quite a bit. And so this is my first actual week, or last week was my first week with Assembly Member Cervantes. So still learning more about the district a bit more. So I do have a quick update. All of the legislation authored by Assembly Member Cervantes has been passed and signed by the governor. So that's a complete win for us. No opposition to any of our particular bills moving forward. We do have a couple of community events coming up. We have our Pathways for Higher Education. So while it is not business related, maybe you have contacts that are students, teachers, anything regarding education faculty. We are having an event in conjunction with other entities and offices. And this is going on from October 5th through November 9th. And for a complete list of details and events, I'll put my email in the chat as well. And not only for that event as well, we have Cash for College, which I believe, if I have here on my notes, is Tuesday, October 18th. And this will be at the Corona Norco Unified School District Parent Center right here in Corona. And that will be going on from 6 to 7:30 p.m. So that event will be for Cash for College workshop. So we'll be having a lot of information for students seeking higher education. Anything else regarding events, please feel free to reach out through email. I'd be happy to add more information on some gaps I didn't cover during this call, and feel free to email me. So thank you.
Thank you, Alex. Can you appreciate that? We're grateful you're on the call, and we hope you'll come on every Wednesday so we can open up and continue lines of communication with the Assembly Member's Office. If you can go into the chat and put your contact information for everybody, that would be helpful. And or any other links that you want to direct folks to for any of the community events. I'd like to thank Peppermint Ridge. I like to always recognize our nonprofit organizations that do fabulous work in our community. Peppermint Ridge is one of them. There's Danny, there's Jim, and I believe they're still hiring, correct? Jobs. Maybe you can post something in the chat on jobs that are available and where they can people can contact you guys for employment. All right, let's get right into the announcements. Well, first, before we go to the announcements, Anthony, there's a little chat button on the bottom. If you have any questions, feel free to just put your questions in the chat and we will do our best to answer them. Anthony.
Thank you so much, Jeff. Just one quick announcement. I know Bobby as well as Paul Bender already covered the Thursday, October 20th event, but I also wanted to cover our next Good Morning Corona, which is next Friday. It is going to be our last Friday Good Morning Corona. Going forward, we will have them on Thursdays, including the November 10th Good Morning Corona. So come on out to the Good Morning Corona event next Friday, October 21st. This is going to be a congressional update with Congressman Ken Calvert. It's going to be a great networking opportunity, as well as we also have sponsorships and exhibitor tables still available. So register now, send us an email, or just call here at the office if you need any additional information for that. That is the only update that I have this week. So I will pass that back over to you, Jeff.
Great. Thank you, Anthony. That was short and sweet. Thank you. All right, let's get right into the meat of the matter. I'd like to introduce Jeff Gibson. Jeff Gibson owns Occidental Communications Group, freshly off an airplane, I think, rushing to make sure he gets on our call is always very appreciated. And, for 35 years, Jeff has specialized and worked in areas of political campaigns, government affairs, government consulting, and has specialized in areas of the environment and transportation and housing, criminal justice. And we're just thrilled that was able to join us today and take it over, Jeff.
I appreciate it, everyone. I'm sorry I was a little bit behind. If I could have controlled it at all, but it does not seem to matter when you request it from an airline. So anyway, off and running. We are looking at a special session because the state is looking at $7 average price of gas by the end of this week, according to AAA. And we're actually looking at close to $8 on average for gas by the time the voters will be going to the while we are now finishing our 18 days of elections, which we are currently in. You should be receiving your ballot if you have not already. Everyone will be receiving a mail-in ballot over the next couple of days. And the election results will be final on November 18th, with the legislature and all local agencies being seated on December 5th. So exciting times. But the governor is calling for a special session of the legislature on December 5th in order to deal with to see if it is possible to impose a special tax on gas, which would equal roughly $1.50 under the current proposal per gallon. The chart that you see there shows how we got to $7 gas. So in 2020, we were averaging about $2.69 a gallon in the state of California, about $1.18 of that, about $1.11 of that at the time was what would be classified as a gas tax. In 2021, we were averaging about $4.45 statewide, with about $1.18 a gallon in gas taxes. Today, we are averaging over $6.79 statewide. In Riverside County, it's about $6.42, and about $1.74 are in taxes. Now, all but 9 states that impose any sort of tax on gasoline or energy, decided to, for the duration of this gas price, this energy price spike that we're all living through as a nation, decided to take away the gas taxes, either permanently suspend them, temporarily suspend them. But in California, we decided on July 1st to impose a 60-cent increase in the climate change fees that are paid per gallon of gas. So the legislature has agreed, the legislative leaders, Tony Atkins in the state Senate and Anthony Rendon, the Speaker of the State Assembly, have agreed that on the first day of the legislature, they will also have a special meeting of the legislature, a special session. Jeff has gone through. Jeff, I think you went through at least one, if not 2 special sessions, maybe more. And what happens in a special session is the legislature basically takes the rules and can determine whatever is necessary to pass specific pieces of legislation based upon what the governor has declared an emergency. So the governor is declaring a gas price emergency. And so this is what in his proposal, and really the only proposal it sounds like that is going to be considered, is going to be what is currently known as an excess profits tax. Excess profits tax. Taxes on oil were imposed in 1973. They were relieved in 1981. In 1980, before the excess profits tax was relieved, the price of gas, the price of a barrel of oil was about $32 a barrel and had been for about 9 years. So again, the excess profit tax was put into play in 1973, was relieved in 1981. And what happened when we got rid of the excess profits tax? The price of a barrel of oil went from about $32 a barrel to $18 a barrel, and basically stayed at a very low price until Kuwait was invaded by Iraq, in which case we went through a temporary spike. So we're looking at imposing a state-only excise tax, excess profits tax, that would pencil out currently at an additional $1.50 per gallon of gasoline. So obviously this is something that I think everyone will notice if our price goes from $8 a gallon, which AAA is saying it's very likely to be averaging about $8 a gallon, $9 in some places, and we go to $10 a gallon, when in Arizona it's averaging $2.98. So this is going to be something that is that you're going to be feeling immediately. It's going to be something that's going to be relevant in the elections. It's going to be something that the legislature is talking about. It's a major piece of legislation. So we're very likely going to be taking positions on those, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Anthony?
Thank you, Jeff. There are no questions at this time.
So Jeff, I got a question.
Sure.
I just want to make sure I understand what you're saying. This is going to be an additional tax on the existing price of gas?
Yes, this would be an additional price on the existing price of gas.
Wow.
So the governor is trying to come up with a legislative mechanism that would not allow the oil companies, and this is his word, so I'm just reporting out how he's reporting this, that the excess profits tax could not be passed on to consumers but there's no mechanism. In fact, that there's a entire history of jurisprudence going back to the founding of the English Republic, the English Commonwealth, that you cannot have government determine how you can cap the amount of price, but you cannot make the internal decision on how someone determines what the price is. So it's
essentially this is and thank you, Linda Pearson. I think you're right. We're all in shock. That's why there's no questions.
Yeah.
Is it a tax on the gas companies that you anticipate that's going to be passed through by the gas companies?
Oh yeah, everyone has already responded, and the governor basically said that as long as the oil companies are making less, then the pain would be worth it. We need to get.
All right, well, we need to keep an eye on this. This is really, really important.
Oh, I'm not kidding around. This is why. Yeah, no, I want everyone on the call to know we're paying attention to the entire California economy. We're paying attention to all of the different bills that have been passed. We're paying attention to all of these different items. We're very active in all those areas. But when it comes down to, okay, we've got 14 minutes a week in which to share with you and what's really going to have the most impact, there's absolutely no way on earth that you can say a proposal to move $7 per gallon gas to $9.25. And that would be a permanent tax. That isn't going to have a tremendous effect on what happens in the state of California and with each of your businesses and for your deliveries and everything else. And as part of that package, by the way, the governor has proposed eliminating the ability to handle in any way petroleum products in the state of California after 2035. So the promise of last year, which was you can't buy a new car that uses, or the promise of 2 months ago that you can't buy a new car that has an internal combustion engine after 2035. Well, in the state of California, you can own a gasoline powered vehicle, but you can't in any way put gasoline in that vehicle under one of the proposals being considered. So, yep. And on top of that, I was just in a conference with the Port of Los Angeles, and where they reported that they have an open request for proposals where they will purchase up to 22,000 zero emission trucks. That all those trucks have to do is prove that they will haul 8,000 pounds of freight for 20 to 25 miles, and they will pay any price for a vehicle that will do that, and they've had 32 respondents. That would be for 32 trucks. So they have an order out for 22,000 trucks. 32 have responded because there's no technology in which to deliver freight in any meaningful way up to 25 miles away. So it's a brave new world, unfortunately, and we're going to help you survive it. So
thank you, Jeff.
Stay tuned.
So Jeff, I've got a question. What can we do as a Chamber of Commerce? What can we do to notify our residents, our business community? Yes, we have this call, we have it available, and we send out a link and we do that. What action can we do like now? If that is possible, what will we gain from it?
I'm on a call.
Well, so yeah, we're gonna be monitoring what the governor is actually proposing, and when that proposal is shared, then that would be when we would start to move. We can get out to people on this call if you'd like a email basically on some facts, some pretty straightforward nonpartisan facts on how gasoline prices are arrived at in California, and some of the reasons why the industry says that they're higher or not. And then we can get that started because obviously this is going to be a major issue. Wish I had better news to report, guys.
Well, I will.
May-
Can I just share? Yeah, I don't like what you've said, but I'm glad that you've said it because I'm so tired of people, kind of glancing over and thinking everything is okay. We need to get involved. We need to take action and do things. And sometimes it was said before, the truth hurts. There's no sugarcoating on this. And so, Jeff, thank you. And I know that when things were going very well a few years ago and there were some good things to report, we reported those as well. And so I appreciate the honesty. I don't like what was said, but it's not how you said it. It's just the truth. And boy, it just is troublesome, but I appreciate it. Thank you, sir.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Thank you, guys.
Next slide.
Nope, that's the end of it for me. So,
Okay.
Yep, we're good.
All right.
Thank you,
Thank you,
guys.
Jeff. Thank you, Jeff. We are over time, but I do want to see if Linda Pearson has any updates from Corona Regional Medical Center. And I see the City of Hope is on the line. I'd like to see if the City of Hope has any announcements or updates I'd like to announce before we get off the call.
No, thank you, Jeff. We are good.
That's easy, Victor.
So things at Corona Regional are great too. COVID is way down and staying down, so that's good. We're pushing flu shots right now to keep everybody healthy for the winter. But other than that, we're great.
Fantastic. And I'd like to thank Jason Scott, who's on the call, former mayor, former council member. Jason, you want to give a little plug on the Elks Golf Tournament? If he's available.
Thanks. I appreciate it. The Elks Golf Tournament's coming up on October 24th at Dos Lagos, and love to have golfers come out. That's a Monday. And to get more information, go to coronaelks.com. Thanks, Jeff.
Thank you. And lastly, I'd like to thank Kimberly Davidson from the fine city of Wildemar. Hi, Kimberly. Thank you for coming on the call.
Thank you. Great
All
information
right.
as usual.
Yes, yes. Okay, thanks again to, Anthony, we're going to put up the slide on our representatives. If you have any questions, concerns, calls, whatever, there is contact information for Assembly Member Sabrina Cervantes's office and Senator Richard Roth's office. Feel free to reach out to them if you want. And I'd like to thank our sponsor again today, our friend, good friend, and Jim Dorsey Photography. If you need a photographer for a wedding, a portrait, an event, Jim Dorsey is experienced in it all. He's extremely patient, understanding, flexible, and most of all, fun, and just an overall great guy. So thank you, Jim. All right, with that, I will not be seeing you next week, unfortunately, or fortunately for me. I am taking a much needed vacation with the family, and so I will be out of pocket next week, but I know you're going to be in good hands. And with that, thank you all for your time. We appreciate it. We got a lot of work left to do this year, and we'll stay on top of it. The meeting is adjourned.
Thank you all.